the state going on right now. So hence the delay in getting here, and I need to leave by 4:30. So I've just got myself away from a meeting. But I would like to thank Mr. Kulkarni for giving me an opportunity to meet all of you and talk to you this afternoon. And I would, for Eric's inputs, because I think people like us, most places go, speak and leave. So it's nice that I have an opportunity to listen to something today. Dr. Prakash, who's also here, who gave us an insight to the Observer Research Foundation, Mumbai. Actually, the youth of today is something, to be honest, I'm tired of listening. Because every time people look at us, young parliamentarians, and they say, oh my God, we are so hopeful and we are sure you're going to make a difference. And it's sort of, when I first used to hear it, used to enthuse me a lot. Today when I look back, and again now people say it to me, I sometimes wonder, are we really going to make a difference? Because I say this, not because I'm sadistic about things, but my biggest disappointment was when the caste reservation census decision was taken by Government of India. There was the entire youth, there was a division, which I sensed in every college, school that I went to speak at, that there was a section who wanted it and there was another section who didn't want it. And there was still a lot of liberal people like us who really think that was it really required, and what are we going to achieve by having such a detailed census, which is so caste-oriented. And in that, the biggest disappointment for me was that none of the young MPs even raised it, to even discuss it or debate it. I'm not sure what you all thought about it, but for me it was my first huge disappointment in my political career, that for once you believed in something, but given the democratic situations, our votes depend on it, none of us really thought of making any interventions. And then I thought to myself that we talk about being liberal. If we are really going to be the change, how many of us have the guts to come and say the truth with whatever it costs it comes? Because we talk about, Eric started about MDGs. I think the biggest MDG challenge is malnutrition. And it's all connected to everything else, your education, your livelihood, everything. And I thought education was the biggest leveler. But now where I stand and I look at society, rural, urban, everything, I'm not sure whether education is the only leveler. I think society as such has to change. And after that, we look at advocacy groups that, yes, we as policymakers do try and make a difference. But are people like you who really are going to make the difference? We make policies, but how to take them to people? We are certainly dependent on NGOs to get a lot of good productivity up. Coming back to MDGs, I think we're all aware that the session is in September. The Honorable Prime Minister of this country was supposed to go, but unfortunately, because of his commitments in India, he's not going. We're all familiar with MDGs, right? Yeah. Okay, so, and we are all aware that none of us, our country has not made it to a single MDG that we ratified. So I think it's really a shame, and I think I still remember, and I say this very candidly, well knowing there's nobody from the press sitting here. That's the first question I asked Mr. Kulkarni, that is there any record of it? Because I really not sure if I'd like to repeat this so generously. But a group of NGOs and me went to meet the Honorable Prime Minister, and we had some suggestions and interventions to be made when he went. So he turned around to us and says, don't you think our country has been sleeping when it comes to MDGs? And it was really an extremely honest comment that he passed, and we were all taken aback when he said it to us. So he says, no sir, we're not saying that you're sleeping for sure. He says, yes, I must admit and I have to take responsibility that at the helm of affairs, we have been sleeping. And we should be ashamed that the MDG goal has not been met. So we formed a group now under the leadership of the Prime Minister, where 25 MPs across party lines, all below the age of 40. And there's absolutely no political agenda in it. We want to make a difference. We've had a plan of 10 by 3. this is only addressing the issue of malnutrition in this country, I think, which is the biggest challenge ahead of all of us today. And it's not just about urban or rural children, it's across, from the slums of Mumbai to Chennai to Delhi to a village in a tribal area. Today, look at anemia, look at malnutrition. These things are on nobody's agenda. So we've urged the Honorable Prime Minister to put it on his MDC, which is a meeting which he heads and takes a review of the entire country with all the chief ministers participating. You all must have read about it about a month ago, I think. We talk about terrorism, we talk about food security, we talk about various issues when they review the states, but nobody talks about the malnutrition problem. It's a chronic problem of our country. And we go on and on and on about, oh my God, we're so proud to be such a young nation. But if you ask me, if we don't channel this energy in our nation, it's going to be a sitting time bomb. You've seen what's happening in Kashmir today. You see, if all of you all have seen any pictures, who are the people on the road in Kashmir? It's the youth of Kashmir. All those young women, men, and very, very little children also. They don't even know what's going on. But their mother, uncle, somebody's either been hit or there has been some abuse. So, Naxalism, we talk about Red Corridor. All of us have read the book. It's such a fabulous book. Everybody's telling each other. Sudeep Chakrabarti's book. But Naxalism is growing today. But are we addressing it? Not really. In Bombay, it doesn't even affect us. It's not knocking at your and my door, so why should we worry about it? But today, I think the youth is concerned and they want to make a difference. You know, we went to, because of this malnutrition group, last week we went to see Pranay Roy. And we want him to highlight it on channels. Because everybody says, oh, there's no TRP in it. You don't want to get up in the morning and see a malnourished child on the front page of the news. And the most funniest story I read, which is so true probably, is of Mr. Amitabh Bachchan. He says he starts the newspaper from the back. And he says the reason I do that is because that's the only page, which is a sports page, talks about achievements of people. Because the front page is always depressing. But it's a fact. When he said it, I sort of, oh my God, such an intelligent man, what is he saying? But when I read it and I thought for 30 seconds and I realized he's right. The last page is only of achievements and the first page is only of disasters. But I think we have to accept it. We have to address these issues. And in that same Pranay Roy's meeting, he said to us that, great, you're in an advocacy group. But if we run this story on NDTV for a whole year, we'll do success stories, we'll highlight it. But then people want to know, how can I make a difference? Because people are willing to help, but they don't know where to go. You're not going to go to any governance because you have no faith. Unfortunately, my entire fraternity, especially last week what we did for our raise, I think we have really gone even 20 notches down in everybody's eyes after what happened. So I think the youth of today is sensible, wants a better quality of life, but doesn't know how to take it forward. I mean, I'm great what the group here over this youth fund you're doing. I think it's a great intervention because you'll be all surprised, most of you probably even know, that the enrollment ratio in our country today is almost 100%. I can't believe it's 100, but let's say it's about 98. 100 is not so realistic. The dropout rate, we all know, gets, by the time we're in the 5th and the 7th, it reaches 50, 60, 70%. With the girls, it's even more. The tribal girls, it's even more. And only 11% of these countries' children go to college. And for Maharashtra, which is the so-called developing state,